Hi, welcome to Teen Book Bites. Today we're going to be hearing from librarians throughout the Los Angeles Public Library system about some books that epitomize the themes of Black ingenuity, Black community, and Black joy. So first up, I'm Amanda. I'm a librarian at Teenscape, the library within downtown Central Library just for young people ages 12 to 19. And I will be talking about George M. Johnson's We Are Not Broken. George M. Johnson's We Are Not Broken is a memoir, kind of a follow-up to their All Boys Are Not Blue. If you've read anything by George M. Johnson, you know that it will make you want to read everything by George M. Johnson. This is an amazing author, and their stories are impactful, and they stick with you for a long time. We Are Not Broken is the memoir of Johnson growing up with their cousins and under the watchful guiding eye of their grandmother, Nanny. This is a love letter to Black boyhood, to Black womanhood, to grandmothers who guide families and provide unwavering love and support like George M. Johnson's grandmother did for them. This is a book that follows the characters, George M. Johnson and their cousins, through to adulthood. It includes letters to their grandmother, to Nanny, and it will bring joy, but also some heartache. There's some sad stuff in here too as well. It's really the totality of Black family life. There's even a family photo wall in the book, which I just love. A lot of readers will recognize their own family photo walls in this centerpiece in the book with these color photos, which is just very familiar and endearing. So that's it. We Are Not Broken by George M. Johnson. Excellent memoir. And up next, we have Lear telling us about Blackout.
Hello, I'm Lear, also a librarian from Teenscape, and the first book I'd like to share looks like a short story compilation, but it's not. Blackout brings 6 authors, Danielle Clayton, Tiffany D. Jackson, Nick Stone, Angie Thomas, Ashley Woodfolk, and Nicola Yoon all together to weave a beautiful story about a night when the lights went out in New York. As the city goes through a heat wave and the lights flash off, lives intersect and new stories blossom. These interconnected stories include a first meeting, a few exes, and a few friends. Friendship grows, love blooms, and relationships of every type take flight as the authors bring 6 lovely couples to life and more. Readers will become immersed in the paths of all the characters, and you'll wish that the book was longer. Need not worry, however, you'll be able to revisit the characters come to life. Former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama's production company, Higher Ground, is set to produce these 6 beautifully written love stories about Black teenagers as a 6-part film anthology for Netflix. No date announced yet, but keep an eye out. Thanks.
That's an all-star team of writers there. Any one of those writers, I would read their book automatically. 6 of them in the same book is pretty amazing.
And I think they're also doing the screenwriting, although don't quote me on that.
I'm looking forward to it, and we'll all have to read the book before the show comes out on Netflix.
Definitely.
Okay, next up is Lauren with One True Loves.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren from the Memorial Branch Library, and I am here to share One True Loves by Elise Bryant, which I think is sort of the perfect self-discovery summer romance that you could read anytime. So let me tell you a little bit about the book. Lenore comes from a very impressive family. Her mom runs a nonprofit. Her father is a partner at his law firm. Her older brother just graduated from UCLA and is headed to law school. And her little sister is 10 going on 30 and might just be the smartest out of the entire family. But Lenore is no slouch either. Lenore is super smart. She has a 4.2 GPA. She's headed to NYU in the fall. And she's really creative and artistic. But she's unlucky in love, and she can't seem to find a focus for her artistic endeavor. She's good at everything she tries, but she can't sort of hone in on the one thing that she really wants to continue working with. So Lenore's just graduated from high school, and her family are about to leave on a 12-day Mediterranean cruise. She's been given 2 assignments to complete during her European vacation. First, her best friend, Tessa, insists that it's the perfect opportunity for a summer romance, and Lenore is supposed to fall in love. And then her parents tell her that by the end of the trip, Lenore has to have decided on her college major and basically figured out her entire future career path. So, no pressure on this trip. So, the first night of the cruise, Lenore is coaxed into attending a teen mixer on board. The only other Black person in the room is a very handsome boy named Alex, who immediately gravitates to her and then asks her to fake flirt with him to make his ex, who was also on the cruise, jealous. Yeah, no thank you. Lenore knows that old romance book trope of fake relationship turns to real love is not actually a real thing that happens in life. So for the next 12 days, Lenore will be sharing a tiny room with her moody older brother, dealing with Alex, whose parents have, of course, become cruise besties with her parents, and getting to visit and explore some of the most beautiful places in Europe. But does any of this mean that Lenore will find true love and figure out what the heck she wants to do? Well, you'll have to read the book to find out if she accomplishes the 2 assignments that she's been given.
Thanks, Lauren. It sounds like a great book and also kind of shallow of me, but I think the cover is adorable.
Oh, it's so cute. The artwork is great. And if you like this artwork, her Elise Bryant's first book, which is called Happily Ever Afters, which is also a wonderful romance story, has similar artwork. I think she must be working with the same artist for all of them, and they are adorable. I totally agree.
Thanks. Okay, next up is Marcia with Black Ballerinas, My Journey to Our Legacy.
Hey, so I'm Marcia Melkonian at the Canoga Park Library. So this is the sort of book you won't see very often. It's a history book and a memoir and a picture book for teens. Misty Copeland shares with all of us many of her mentors. These women were not just dance mentors, but life mentors. She didn't start in with ballet until she was 13 years old, which is really late for someone who is actually successful in the art form. 4 years later, she went pro with the American Ballet Theater, ABT, which is really unheard of. But her journey was made more unusual because she was the only Black ballerina in ABT for the first decade of her career. This was pretty weird for a lot of reasons, but she had been shielded from this particular type of racism that says you have to keep your skin light so you don't stand out on stage, so you blend into the corps de ballet. Before entering ABT, her teachers had run interference to protect her from some pretty awful snubs due to her skin color. Luckily, no one could deny her talent, and that talent is born in her passion. In this book, Misty charts a page for each of the many Black ballerinas who influenced her. The layout, let me see if I can get this. There we go. The layout is beautiful with an illustration and a quote from each of the ballerinas and Misty's reflections on that particular artist and her relationship with that artist. There we go. She nods to each entry as someone who provided a stepping stone that helped her move forward, even through adversity that's still present. She talks about how many of these ballerinas were forced to escape to Europe if they wanted to perform. America had and has its own kind of racism that is just not shared around the world. There are so few artistic directors of ballet companies that are people of color. And when that changes, ballet will flourish as an art form for all. In the meantime, Misty Copeland is doing her part to make ballet more inclusive. She's written several books towards that end and is making sure that brown and Black youth see their own reflections on stage. Know that they are free to create their own legacy. It is a beautiful book.
Thanks, Marcia. One of the things that I, as a librarian, really appreciate about Misty Copeland, not just her incredible and immense talent in ballet, but the sheer number of books she has given us that are just generally, by and large, excellent.
Yeah, and what I love about the whole thing is she's targeting different populations and really sharing in a beautiful and productive way. Just, sneaking in there with all that beauty.
And all while being the star.
Yeah, right. In all of her spare time. Yeah. Okay.
Thanks. Okay, so next up is, me, with the book Black Boy Joy. So as a librarian, I often tell my patrons that you can't judge a book by its cover. And it's true. Some really good books have really bad covers, and some really bad books have really good covers. And the only way you can tell if a book is going to be good for you is to open it up and read a few pages. But I do have to admit that I picked up this book, Black Boy Joy, because of the cover. It is infectiously joyful. It is an illustration by Kadir Nelson, who is one of my all-time favorite illustrators and definitely my number one favorite children's book illustrator. Though this book is found in the children's department of the library, it is firmly middle grade, aimed at kids in middle school age and older. As a fully grown up person, I really enjoyed this book. It really took me back to my childhood and those middle school years, which were not all bad. It reminded me of that too. So Black Boy Joy is 17 stories celebrating Black boyhood and really Black personhood. It's by Black male authors and non-binary people authoring those stories, and they're just, as the title says, joyful. I was reading this book on the subway, and I was just sitting there smiling to myself under my mask and nodding along as I read these stories. So my favorite story, I should say that the stories are surrounded by an ongoing story that appears in 3 parts. The story of Gary the Griot, who is teaching young Fortitude Jones that joy is cultivated through stories, and you have to share stories for joy. So that's an ongoing theme throughout the book. And there are numerous stories from Lamar Giles, Jason Reynolds, Jerry Craft, so many really great authors. And also George M. Johnson, who I mentioned earlier. If you've read one thing by George M. Johnson, you want to read everything by George M. Johnson. A couple of my favorite stories from this book are there's going to be a fight in the cafeteria and you better not bring Batman, which is a story about a nerdy young kid named Cornell who has to come up with an imaginary slate of superheroes to win a battle that's going to take place in the cafeteria at his school. He's a little embarrassed to ask his older brother to help him because a lot of the most popular superheroes have already been used in previous battles. What happens next is that everybody in his family, everybody in Cornell's family, is revealed to be super nerdy about one thing or another. Even Cornell's older brother's girlfriend really knows her way around all of the Black female superheroes in the Marvel Universe. Cornell's dad reveals himself to be a secret fan of the superhero movies of Shaquille O'Neal, who I think is really undervalued. So props to that one. And Cornell's grandfather is way into Blaxploitation movies, and he says the number one superhero is Shaft. It's such a charming story, and I really loved seeing all these different characters nerd out, so it just made me smile from beginning to end. Another story that I really loved was the one by George M. Johnson called The Gender Reveal, which is the story of Malcolm, who is a non-binary middle schooler who has not yet come out to their family. Malcolm's family loves them. They are super supportive of them. Their friends are supportive. But even when you have all that love, even when you have all that support, coming out is a tough thing to do. So with the help of their crafty, and I mean crafty because she sews excellently, crafty grandmother, Big Nanny, Malcolm has a gender reveal party at their birthday party. And this is just a wonderful story of community and family and support. So there's so many stories like that in this book. I really hope that you will take a hint from the incredibly excellent cover and pick it up and give it a try. And next up, we have Lear with the Meet Cute Project.
Hello, I'm gonna put that book on my to-be read pile for sure. Hello, Lear again. The second book I'd like to talk about is The Meet Cute Project by Rhiannon Richardson. I chose this book first because I wanted to read something I don't usually read, a romance rom-com type of book, and look at that gorgeous cover. Oh, it's so pretty. And sometimes, yes, the cover matches the book. And two, to be honest, the author's first name is my middle name, and that caught my eye. So Mia's friends love romance and romantic comedies, while Mia thinks they're totally fake. She's busy enough trying to deal with her sister who's getting married and ordering her around. She's trying to get through her junior year, all the clubs, winning swim meets left and right, and her classes. Then she learns she has to find herself a date to the wedding when dating has never been her strong suit. Mia's friends devise a plan to engineer meet cutes that mirror those in their favorite movies in order to help her snag a date. Disaster, laughter, and tears will happen, but will Mia end up finding her special someone after all? With all the ups and downs of friendship and romance, this book will have something for everyone to connect with. And let us know your favorite romantic YA books in the comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Lear. This sounds like a really fun book.
It was pretty fun. It's like a nice light read.
Well, I look forward to reading more of the books that were mentioned today. Thank you, everybody, for joining us for this February edition of Teen Book Bites, featuring Black community, Black ingenuity, and Black joy. We look forward to seeing you at next month.